Most of you who just watched that won't understand the reference that I am inclining towards with the intro, but you're about to find out right now as what is up everybody, RandomRandomMan here, bringing you my review for Tonya. Based on insane true events, the plot basically follows the life and career of figure skater Tonya Harding, played by Margot Robbie, with particular focus on her connection to the 1994 attack on Nancy Kerrigan, Harding's rival and Olympic teammate. Now this is yet another late 2017 release that has been slowly expanding into more theaters recently. It's a film I've been very much looking forward to seeing ever since the first trailer for it dropped, and it looked like a funny, self-aware, dark comedy based on insane true life events, as I've said before. The cast also got more interest out of me, and awards buzz has been circling around this film as well. With the cast and their performances, Margot Robbie does an outstanding job as the title lead. I will not be the first one to admit that from purely appearances, Margot Robbie was miscast as Tonya Harding, many even arguing that she was too pretty to play this famous figure skater and that someone like Amy Schumer would have been more suited for the role. That being said, I still think that Margot Robbie did a great job in this film, even going as far as to say that this is probably the best performance I've seen her ever give. She gives a somewhat sympathetic but also unlikable portrayal of Tonya Harding, and we do go back and forth between both of those characteristics all the time, and Robbie is able to handle all that super well. In fact, a lot of people in this movie are portrayed as unlikable on purpose, including some of the supporting players. Sebastian Stan plays Jeff Gillooly, Tonya Harding's abusive husband turned ex-husband. He's not given enough credit for this performance, I don't think, because he is terrific in my eyes, where he is reserved, but also at times explosive in his portrayal of this character, and he wants Harding to succeed even if there is a rocky relationship between the two. There's also another abusive character of worthy mention in this film, and that is Allison Janney as Tonya Harding's mom, Lavana, and she is being singled out for praise in this movie, and I so agree. She is, oh my god, something else in this film. Her performance is fantastic, and so far she has won the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress and the Critics' Choice Award for Best Supporting Actress. Surely a Best Supporting Actress Oscar nomination and possible win will follow suit for Janney's outlandish and devilish performance here. Robbie is also getting quite a few nominations for her performance as well. The other supporting players I want to give worthy mentions to are McKenna Grace as the younger Tonya Harding in this film, and I remember her being tremendous in the film Gifted, and for the screen time that she does have here, she is also very good. Paul Walter Hauser does a strong job as Sean Eckert, the bodyguard to Tonya Harding and the friend of Jeff Gillooly, who helps plan the attack on Nancy Kerrigan with Jeff. I also have to mention Bobby Cannavale, who's good as a producer to a tabloid TV show, who's seen in the interview sequences of this film, and it was bothering me the whole time I was watching the film that I couldn't recognize this actor's name, partially because he had an awful spray tan in the movie, but that was surely intentional. Basically, anyone in this film, especially the three leads here, Robbie, Stan, and Janney, all do superb jobs. The writing here from Steven Rogers from the get-go sets up what you're going to expect to see throughout the rest of the movie, as it begins with a series of interviews from the major players in this film, Tonya Harding, Jeff Gillooly, what have you, that transpire throughout the rest of the movie's running time in them recounting what they went through throughout this whole ordeal that the movie is centering on, while also retelling the life and career of Tonya Harding leading up to the attack on Nancy Kerrigan. As I expected to see from that first trailer, this movie is self-aware with its tone in it being a dark dramedy of sorts. It balances itself really well, in my opinion, to give us the sympathetic and unsympathetic takes of all these characters and what they went through in real life. And it goes even far to the point where characters break the fourth wall while they're retelling the events of what led up to that 1994 attack, and it reminded me a bunch of other movies like this. One quote called this movie the Goodfellas of figure skating, and even recently it reminded me of The Big Short, which coincidentally Margot Robbie had a cameo in. So this movie is of a particular style with itself, and it does go into what the rest of the nice writing does, but also the direction, as I think Craig Gillespie did a very fine job being able to handle scenes where we do transition between the interviews and then the actual retelling of Tonya Harding's life and career. This movie is hysterical, due in part to the stellar performances, but also, like I said before, with the tone, the self-awareness that this movie does have. But it knows when to get dramatic, and it does rear itself to be more notable towards the end of the film as well. And what the movie also does in backing up its style, it does with the soundtrack of the film, which is filled with popular songs of the era where this movie took place, and even before that. That's something that has been contentious with some people when talking about this movie, as some have said that it's jarring whenever some music comes in and it gets cut off too quickly. It didn't bother me that much. In fact, I really enjoyed a lot of the song choices here because I'm a fan of those tracks, but with this movie, comparing it to something like Suicide Squad, where that movie sloppily handled itself with its editing, and whenever a song would start up, it would abruptly end. It was less obnoxious here, and again, it adds to the movie's style, its tone. To me, the music in this film just added on to the film looking and sounding very good on a technical level. The cinematography, especially when it bobs and weaves around Tonya Harding during her figure skating sequences, do show off why at one point in time she was considered to be the best figure skater in the world. There's even this one tracking shot in the film that goes through Jeff Galooly's house, and it's during multiple scenes and then finally outside and onto the main road. It looked pretty well from how it was staged and edited to look like it was one take. As for issues I have with the film, there aren't that many. The movie mostly ran pretty well at about a little over 2 hours, yet I felt the pacing could have been tightened up a little bit towards the end, yet that didn't bother me that much in retrospect, as I was thoroughly entertained watching the film. There's also the matter of quite a bit of CGI being used for the figure skating sequences, where it was obvious to me at certain moments that Margot Robbie's face was either superimposed on a body double or that the movements themselves were done up with CGI. Compare that to another movie like Black Swan, where similar movements are involved with ballet and figure skating, and it was less noticeable to me that Natalie Portman was used with a body double. But for I, Tonya, I guess I could cut the movie a bit of slack, as in real life, Robbie has some ice skating experience with hockey, but she can't land a triple axel in real life, as Tonya Harding so famously did, and the film was also made on a smaller independent type budget. Other than those quibbles, I really enjoyed I, Tonya. This movie's not going to be for everyone, in the sense that there are going to be those who detest to how this movie somewhat portrays Tonya Harding in a sympathetic light, while also taking a darkly comedic approach to retelling the story of her involvement with the attack against Nancy Kerrigan. But I would say that the movie balances its tone very well, blurring the line between serious and comedic, where I did feel for Tonya Harding at times, but I was also appalled at other moments by who she was, at least in this film's portrayal, along with the other characters. I think the performances in this film make this movie worth watching alone. We even get a glimpse during the end credits of the real-life people involved with this story, and it gives us an idea of how much these actors resemble their real-life counterparts. This movie is slowly expanding into more theaters, I believe, this upcoming weekend, at least here in the US, and for all of what I've said, in this being a hysterically acted, very meta, and just darkly comedic biopic that is of a particular style, I definitely recommend I, Tonya. My final verdict for I, Tonya is 4 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Tonya. Social media links in the description. Subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.